Introduction. A shroud of secrecy. World War II, a time of global conflict, a time of unimaginable brutality. Amidst the chaos, a sinister force operated in the shadows, Unit 731. This covert Japanese army unit, disguised as a water purification department, was a nightmare factory. They conducted horrific human experiments on a scale that defied comprehension. From 1937 to 1945, Unit 731 cast a long shadow over the lives of thousands. Men, women, and children were snatched from their homes, their fates unknown to the outside world. These innocent souls, labeled as logs by their captors, became victims of unspeakable atrocities. Under the guise of scientific research, Unit 731's activities represented a grotesque betrayal of humanity. This essay delves into the horrors of Unit 731, exposing the gruesome reality of their experiments and the devastating impact on the victims. It explores the ethical implications of their actions and the controversial aftermath that saw many perpetrators escape justice. By shining a light on these dark events, we strive to honor the memory of those who suffered and ensure such atrocities are never repeated.
Imagine a place where human life held no value, a place where suffering was not just tolerated but meticulously documented. This was Unit 731, a living hell disguised as a research facility.
Behind its walls, doctors transformed into monsters, their white coats stained with the blood of innocents. The experiments conducted by Unit 731 were as numerous as they were monstrous. Vivisection, the dissection of living people, was commonplace. Victims endured amputations without anesthesia, their screams swallowed by the cold, sterile air. Organs were removed, studied, and discarded, with no regard for the human beings they belonged to.
The horrors did not stop there. Prisoners were infected with deadly diseases like plague, cholera, and anthrax. They became human guinea pigs, their bodies ravaged by illness as researchers observed the progression of the diseases. Others were subjected to frostbite experiments, their limbs submerged in ice water until they shattered.
Who were the victims of Unit 731's barbarity? They came from all walks of life, united only by their misfortune of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Chinese civilians, suspected dissidents, and prisoners of war, all were deemed expendable in the eyes of their Japanese tormentors. Among them were farmers, ripped from their fields and families. Shopkeepers, taken from their stores and thrust into a nightmare. Pregnant women, their unborn children offering another gruesome opportunity for experimentation. Even children were not spared, their small bodies subjected to the same horrors as adults. Each victim had a name, a story, a life brutally cut short. Their voices, silenced by cruelty, deserve to be heard. Though their individual stories are too numerous to recount here, their collective suffering stands as a testament to the depths of human depravity.
One story in particular encapsulates the profound suffering inflicted by Unit 731. It is the story of a young Chinese mother, Mei, whose ordeal was recounted years later by a remorseful Japanese nurse who witnessed the horrors firsthand. Mei was heavily pregnant when she was abducted from her village and brought to the facility. She was subjected to vivisection. Her pleas for mercy ignored as the doctors cut into her living body, eager to study the effects of their experiments on her unborn child. Mei's agonizing cries echoed through the sterile halls, a chilling testament to the inhumanity unfolding within those walls. Her story, like countless others, remained buried for decades, a shameful secret hidden from the world. It is a stark reminder of the individual lives destroyed and the enduring pain inflicted on the victims and their families.
The Doctor's Dilemma: Morality Lost in Ambition. The men responsible for these atrocities were not monsters lurking in the shadows, but educated individuals who had sworn an oath to heal. How did doctors, trained to preserve life, become complicit in such unimaginable cruelty? The answer, it seems, lies in a toxic brew of ambition, nationalism, and a warped sense of duty. Blinded by the pursuit of scientific advancement, these men convinced themselves that the ends justified the means. They dehumanized their victims, seeing them as mere experimental subjects rather than fellow human beings. The story of Shiro Ishii, the mastermind behind Unit 731, exemplifies this chilling detachment. Driven by a thirst for recognition and fueled by wartime fervor, Ishii oversaw the transformation of Unit 731 into a factory of human suffering. He believed that his work, no matter how gruesome, was for the greater good of Japan.
The cover-up, a conspiracy of silence. As the war neared its end, the Japanese military went to great lengths to cover up the evidence of their crimes. Facilities were razed to the ground, documents were destroyed, and victims were murdered to ensure their silence. The world, still reeling from the horrors of the war, remained largely unaware of the atrocities committed in places like Unit 731. The United States, eager to secure its position in the post-war world, made a deal with the devil. In exchange for the research data obtained through Unit 731's inhumane experiments, they granted immunity to Ishii and his collaborators. Justice, it seemed, was a small price to pay for scientific advancement. This conspiracy of silence allowed many of those responsible for the horrors of Unit 731 to escape accountability. Some went on to lead successful careers, their past sins buried deep. The world, unaware of the true extent of their crimes, moved on.
Justice denied, the Tokyo Tribunal and beyond. The Tokyo Tribunal, convened after the war to try Japanese war criminals, offered a glimmer of hope for justice. However, the tribunal's narrow focus on conventional war crimes and the lack of concrete evidence regarding Unit 731 meant that most of its perpetrators walked free.
Despite the efforts of some historians and activists to bring the truth to light, the full story of Unit 731 remained largely hidden from the public eye for decades. The Japanese government, bound by a culture of silence and shame, did little to acknowledge or atone for its dark past. The lack of justice for the victims of Unit 731 remains a stain on the conscience of the world. It serves as a stark reminder that even in the face of unimaginable cruelty, accountability can be elusive. It underscores the need for continued efforts to seek justice and recognition for the victims of wartime atrocities.
Scars that never fade. The legacy of Unit 731. The legacy of Unit 731 extends far beyond the physical structures that housed its horrors. The physical and emotional scars inflicted on the survivors continue to haunt them and their families to this day. Many suffer from chronic illnesses, the result of the experiments they endured. Beyond the physical, the psychological trauma runs deep. Nightmares, flashbacks, and a pervasive sense of fear are common among survivors. The memories of their ordeal, seared into their minds, cast a long shadow over their lives. The legacy of Unit 731 is a stark reminder of the enduring impact of wartime atrocities. It underscores the need for ongoing support for survivors and their families, as well as the importance of acknowledging and addressing the long-term consequences of such horrors.
Remembrance and responsibility, keeping the past alive. Despite the passage of time, the horrors of Unit 731 must never be forgotten. Remembering these atrocities is not about dwelling on the past, but about learning from it and ensuring that such horrors are never repeated. It is our collective responsibility to keep the memory of the victims alive, to honor their suffering, and to demand accountability for the crimes committed against them. We must challenge attempts to deny or minimize the significance of these events, for to do so is to betray the memory of those who suffered. Education plays a vital role in this endeavor. By teaching future generations about the horrors of Unit 731, we can help prevent history from repeating itself. We can foster a culture of empathy, understanding, and respect for human dignity.
Conclusion: a call for ethical vigilance. The horrors of Unit 731 stand as a chilling reminder of the fragility of human morality and the devastating consequences of unchecked ambition. They serve as a stark warning against the dangers of scientific progress without ethical considerations. As we grapple with the legacy of these atrocities, we must remain vigilant in our pursuit of justice and accountability. We must challenge all forms of inhumanity and strive to create a world where such horrors are consigned to the history books. Let us honor the memory of the victims of Unit 731 by working tirelessly to prevent such atrocities from happening again. Let us strive to create a world where human dignity is paramount and where the pursuit of knowledge is always tempered by compassion and respect for all.